Happy Monday, Bears fans. A new week begins, and with it comes a shift in momentum that Chicago desperately needed after the tough, down-to-the-wire loss at Lambeau Field. The Bears don't have time to sit in frustration, not when their entire playoff path is riding on what happens this Sunday against the Cleveland Browns. This is one of those moments where you're either stepping forward into the fight, or letting the season slip away. And fortunately for Chicago, there's a glimmer of good news. While the Bears are looking to regroup and sharpen the edges, Cleveland is losing another major piece from an already banged-up lineup. Their season-long trend of injuries continued this week with yet another critical blow to their offensive line. Reports out of Cleveland confirm that starting center Ethan Pocic suffered a torn Achilles and is officially out for the season. For a line that has already been patchworked together for weeks, this is a massive hit. Cleveland has been rotating players non-stop, guys in, guys out, new combinations, and nothing feels stable over there. They've already been scrambling at left tackle. They've had fluctuations at right tackle. Even their interior rotation has been messy enough that a former Bears lineman had to step in just to provide snaps. When you pair all that with the loss of Pocic on a short week, Cleveland finds itself fighting to keep the front from collapsing. This is where Chicago must take advantage. No, the Bears' defensive line hasn't exactly been dominant this season, that's obvious. But matchups matter. And this matchup? This is one of those rare opportunities where the front four can actually tilt the field. Backup linemen, shaky communication, and a quarterback who loves to hold the ball longer than he should, that's a combination you have to exploit. The Browns clearly missed defensive tackle Malik Collins last weekend. He's been having the best season of his career, anchoring their interior and helping transform their defense into one of the toughest groups in the league. Without him, Cleveland looked completely different. Their once feared run defense had no answer for even basic stretch plays. They gave up explosive runs. They couldn't control the interior gaps. Tony Pollard, a good back but not an elite one, had the easiest 160-yard day of his life. Why does this matter for the Bears? Simple. Chicago's offensive line has quietly become a strength, especially in the run game. Add in two running backs who can both punish defenses in different ways, plus cold weather at Soldier Field, and the formula is crystal clear. This is a game where the Bears can, and should, dictate terms on the ground. They can lean into their identity, force Cleveland to adjust without Collins, and build an early rhythm that takes pressure off everything else. Now the real question becomes, who wins on Sunday, Bears or Browns? And what's the final score? I'll save my full prediction for later this week, but make no mistake, if Chicago plays smart, controls the line of scrimmage, and doesn't self-destruct early, they should be able to win, not comfortably, but decisively enough to stay in control. Now let's dive into something that stirred a lot of conversation this week, offensive coordinator Ben Johnson's comments about the final drive against the Packers. He didn't sugarcoat anything. According to him, the Bears weren't playing for overtime. They weren't playing cautious. They were going for the win, fully, intentionally, and unapologetically. That was the mindset from the moment they got the ball back. Drain the clock. March down the field. Get in the end zone. And go for two. He was asked directly whether the team planned to go for two. His answer? Highly likely. Translation: yes. That was the plan. And looking back at the situation, it's hard to argue with the logic. Jordan Love was in rhythm. Chicago had almost no pass rush. The Packers were finding openings all over the field. You were on the road. And even if you tied the game, you risked giving Green Bay one final possession, or worse, having to deal with overtime with a unit that was struggling defensively. Bleeding the clock and going for the win wasn't reckless. It was calculated. And let's address the debate that popped up after the game, the clock management. Some fans thought the Bears mishandled it. But looking at the numbers, Chicago actually played it exactly right. On that 4th and 1, even if the short throw to the flat had been completed and kept in bounds, they would have burned their timeout with around 22 seconds left, plenty of time from inside the 15. They could run. They could throw. They could spike. They had options. The real issue wasn't the clock. It was execution. The throw to Kmet came late and slightly behind him. That's the play that broke the drive, not the timing. And speaking of reads on that play, Johnson clarified something else. DJ Moore was never realistically an option on that final snap. He was the third red, buried in the progression behind a quick flat route and a backside tight end concept. And with two defenders clogging the window, even if he flashed open late, the throw would have been a low percentage attempt. The call wasn't perfect, but it wasn't designed to go to Moore. The first red was Swift. The second was Cole. The scramble lane was the emergency valve. That's how the play was built. Sometimes fans assume every star receiver must be the first read on every big play, but football doesn't work that way. This was a situational, timing-based design meant for a short yardage conversion. The mistake was the throw, not the read. Bears fans, if you're watching this and you want daily updates, injury reports, film breakdowns, and game week analysis, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We post new Bears content every single day, and it helps grow the community so we can reach even more fans. Tap subscribe, it's free, and it keeps you plugged in all season long. Now let's zoom out. The playoff picture in the NFC is tight, tighter than it's been in years. One loss can drop you multiple spots. One win can launch you right back into the top tier. The Bears currently hold a tiebreaker over Philadelphia. They get another shot at Green Bay in less than 2 weeks. And depending on how the next 7 days play out between the Browns and Broncos matchups, Chicago could walk into that game with a chance to reclaim first place in the NFC North. But that only matters if they handle business this week. Lose to the Browns, and your path becomes steep, not impossible, but steep. You'd likely need to win at least 2 of your final 3 matchups against the Packers, Lions, and 49ers. Win this week, though, and suddenly the landscape changes. You stay firmly in the race, and you control your destiny again. The Bears have earned the right to believe in themselves, but they also have to execute early. Because no one wants a repeat of that slow start from Lambeau. Before we wrap, there were a few final takeaways from Ben Johnson's Monday session, and honestly, it's refreshing to hear a coach speak openly about the issues. He acknowledged 3 problems. 1. Slow starts on offense. 2. Too many explosive plays allowed on defense. 3. Kickoff and return coverage not good enough. He didn't spin it. He didn't hide from it. He didn't try to redirect blame. He simply said, these things weren't good enough. And that level of honesty matters. Players respect it. Fans appreciate it. And it reinforces that this staff isn't pretending everything is fine, they're working to fix it. Chicago's kickoff returns, for example, never made it past the 30-yard line. In a league where field position determines outcomes, that's a real issue. And explosiveness on defense? That was the story of the Packers' second half. And then there's the final play again. Johnson clarified what the film showed. The design wasn't built for Moore. Swift was first. Kmet was second. Moore was third in the progression and wasn't realistically reachable. The real frustration was the placement of the football, a moment where quarterback and tight end weren't on the same wavelength. Still, one mistake does not erase the progress this team has made. Chicago is in the fight. They control their destiny. And they get another shot at those same Packers in less than 2 weeks, this time at home, where the crowd will be wild, the weather will be ugly, and the stakes will be even higher. Beat Cleveland, and the whole season shifts. The Bears will walk into that rematch with momentum, confidence, and the chance to reclaim the NFC North. But to earn that opportunity, they must handle business this Sunday. No slow starts. No giving up freebies. No playing from behind. Just discipline. Execution. And 4 quarters of locked-in football. The Bears have everything to play for. The path is open. The goal is still in reach. Now it's time to go take it. Bear down.